So today we're going to be doing an essential upper body compound movement, the dumbbell chest press. This is what's going to give you a nice big defined chest. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down just the technique, and I'm going to really break it down into all of its component parts so that you know exactly what to do to perform this movement as safely and effectively as possible. Let's get into it. So the first part is we want to get these dumbbells into position as safely and as effectively as possible. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, and then I'm going to show you what I'm doing with my back before we lie down. So this is everything before I lie down. The dumbbells are set up in front of me ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hinge down. In fact, whilst I'm hinging down, I can tell it's a bit wide. So just make these adjustments that you need to get into position. So it's a little bit narrower, that's a much better position. So I'm hinging down, grab the dumbbells like so, and then I'm gonna, in one quick move, just put them onto my thighs and sit down slightly before I actually do a full sit down. So let me just show you that. Grab the dumbbells, and then these are coming straight to the thighs, like so. And then I sit down with the dumbbells, okay? Now in this position, I'm just gonna like move them into a nice position. So they're on the top of my thighs now, which is a good position for me, okay? So do whatever manipulations you need to do so. Then, we're now focused on the back. So the dumbbells, I'm gripping really tight, but then I pull my elbows together and extend my chest slightly. Not all the way up, I just want to keep the rib cage kind of stacked on top of the hips. We don't want to be rounded back position like this. So get a nice strong back, create tension in your back, pull the elbows in, and then we're ready to lie back. So the next part is we want to lie down as safely as possible with the dumbbells. So we've already got the dumbbells into position. We've got a nice flat back. Now the key is you don't want the dumbbells to travel a huge distance as you're lying down. And you want to keep the dumbbells as close to the body as possible when you're lying down. So I'm just going to demonstrate what that looks like now. But essentially, I'm keeping the elbows in. I'm going to use my legs to just hoist them up a little bit. And as I lie down, I'm keeping the dumbbells close to my body. So it goes like this. And then I'm pretty much in position. We need to make sure that we are really sturdy on the bench and that we are providing essentially as much of a counterforce to that movement as pushing as possible. So whilst we're pushing the hands away, we're pushing everything else into the floor and into the bench. And so we need to make sure that we're in a good position to do that. Now I'm going to demonstrate this without the dumbbells to begin with so I can speak whilst I'm doing it. So we've got the dumbbells into position, we've got the elbows in, chest up, we're rolling back, okay? Now at this point, we want the feet to come just under the knees slightly, and then we want to just push the knees out. As you do that, you will notice that your bum is super tight. So the feet doing that looks after what the hips should be doing, okay? Once you've done that, you then want to ensure that your back is pushing tight on the bench here. If you're doing super heavy loads, it's probably a good idea to have your shoulder blades just down and in to provide as much support as possible for that pushing movement, okay? We want that to be stable. For lighter weights, it doesn't matter so much to just let the shoulders go forwards, but heavy weights, it's probably a good idea to just keep that sturdy as possible. And so pushing that into the bench as well. Then the head, push that hard into the bench as well. You've probably not even thought of doing that before. So just to sum that up, feet screwed into the floor. That looks after the hips. Shoulder blades are down, pushing hard into the bench. Head pushing into the bench. And then the next thing we need to do is talk about elbow position. The next thing we want to talk about is elbow position. And so what we're focusing on here is the position that we can get into to really lengthen your pectoral muscles, to really load them up, but also the degree to which you're lengthening your pecs and also your triceps. And then the final consideration is, of course, the amount of depth that you can get, that range of motion, and how safe that you can keep your shoulders. And so in order to do that, I'm just going to give you two positions to do, and I'm showing you standing up just so you can see. So the forearms will be perpendicular to the floor, so that's pretty much what this is. And then in terms of position, you can either go flare out slightly And with big dumbbells, as you do so, the dumbbells will be touching the shoulder, okay? Or we can go right in, and that's really going to probably lengthen the pecs a lot more, but also it's going to, because your shoulders coming into a bit more extension, your triceps are going to get more of a workout as well. My personal preference is I actually like to go hands all the way in. That's the one that I do most regularly. I build a lot of strength with that. And because I'm working the triceps, if I transfer that to my bench press, I've had troubles on the lockout, but that really helped me to get through that lockout on the bench press. And so what I'm going to demonstrate today is just the elbows in variation. That's still going to lengthen the pecs all the way across, and it's also going to really work the triceps. So I'm going to get into that position now. And the other thing is, with that elbow position, when we're lying down, the forearm, as I go down, needs to be perpendicular to the floor. So as you're lying down, you do want to maintain that. You don't want this position here, because that's not a good position to push from, okay? So that's what we're going to try and do. So let me grab the dumbbells, and then let me show you exactly how we're going to get into position. I'm just going to do everything that we've done so far up until the elbows. Okay, perpendicular position. And here I'm just thinking dumbbells touching the body, so touching the shoulders. My elbows are pretty much in, just slightly away from the body. And then from this position, we're ready to perform our first press. For the press, as you can see, when we've gone through all of this, we're actually starting from the bottom. Okay, that's where we want to start from to get that first movement in. For the press, I'm going to have, my back nice and flat, all those positions that we've talked about, and I'm essentially going to, from this position, try and keep the elbows in as much as possible, and then I rotate the palms at the top to meet before I just pull the elbows back down to brush past the rib cage. If you're doing the elbows out variation, it's pretty much the same. You want to push over the shoulders and then just drive the elbows back to the same position, okay? But the main thing that we're focusing on, and on this part, is just the press. From here, I'm at the top. I'm now going to think elbows to rib cage, turning the palms in, lower with tension, keep that tension fully locked in, and then I'm ready to press again over the shoulders, and then drive the elbows back down to the rib cage. Top of the dumbbells will touch my shoulders, and then that's how you perform the negative. So the next thing that we want to do is we want consistency in our reps. We want to focus on quality over quantity. And so the movement needs to be going to the same start position and the same finish position every single time. Try and keep tension in the movement. We don't want some reps to start to turn into half reps, and we don't want your technique to break down too much because you're at risk of injury. You want to be in full control of the movement. We want to get to a point where probably when we're learning around about 3 reps left in the tank. So that's the point where things start to slow down, okay? And that you have to think more about the movement. That's the key. If your first rep looks like your last rep, you didn't work hard enough. So hopefully, as you saw on the dumbbell chest press there, I was really slowing down that movement on the way down, pausing at the bottom before I go again. Now that's not absolutely essential to do that, but as you're learning the movement, it's very good practice because you've got tension through the negative. You're being made aware of what your end range is by coming down to the bottom before you've got that nice stable base to push through again. You're probably going to do less reps doing that, but they were all quality reps. So no matter how heavy your weights are, your objective should be to return these to the floor without letting everyone in the gym know that you lifted something heavy. And also, I actually think that it's much better and a truer sign of strength if you actually put these down as silently as possible. So how are you going to do that? When we're in the push position here, what we're going to do is, once you've done that final rep, we're going to pull the knees and the hands slightly towards each other. Because the dumbbells are big, they'll basically touch, and then you're going to use momentum to roll into this position here. Then once you're there, stand up and place them down, okay? And so let me just show you exactly what that looks like. I'm going to do 1 rep with these, and then I'm going to put these down nice and quietly and as safely as possible. Let's go. So once I'm here, stand up, and then I just hinge them down to the floor, okay, and then you're done. And so, there you have it, guys. That is exactly how you do a dumbbell chest press, broken down into all of the parts that you need to know to perform that movement as safely and effectively as possible. Hit like if you found that useful. Drop a comment if there's any other things that you think that I missed, or if there's any other videos that you want to see. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.